All right, for our Agility Lab meetup, let's dive right into a pretty provocative take on the state of Agile today. We're going to skip all the usual success stories for a minute because we need to start with a critical perspective that really challenges how we think about things.
So let's kick things off with a bombshell, and this comes from Jeff Sutherland himself, the co-creator of Scrum. He says that the majority of Scrum teams are failing. Not some of them, most of them. I mean, wow, let that sink in. That is a staggering admission from one of the guys who started it all.
And it doesn't stop there. Here's another pioneer, James Coplian, with an even blunter take from a recent keynote. Agile got it all wrong. So when the actual architects of the whole movement are sounding the alarm like this, you have to stop and ask, what on earth is going on here?
Which naturally leads us to this massive question. Was Agile itself flawed from day one? Was this whole thing doomed from the start? Let's take a look at the original promise versus the reality we're all seeing today.
To really get to the bottom of this, let's talk about the bumblebee. You know the old myth, right? According to some old ideas about aerodynamics, the bumblebee just shouldn't be able to fly. Its wings are too small, its body's too big, and yet, well, it does. It flies anyway.
And that's the perfect way to think about where Agile came from. See, the Agile Manifesto wasn't some grand theory cooked up in a lab. It was simply a description of what was already working, what was already flying in real, successful software teams. The principles were solid because they were based on what people were already doing to succeed.
Okay, so if the principles themselves are sound, then what the heck is the problem? Well, the core argument here is that the blame lies with a completely different culprit.
And here it is. This is the whole conflict in one picture. On the right, you've got a network. It's interconnected. It's fluid. It's self-organizing. That's the soul of an Agile team. And on the left, you've got a rigid, top-down command and control hierarchy. That's most of our organizations. The root of all these problems is that we keep trying to jam that beautiful, messy network into that rigid hierarchy.
So the punchline, the big takeaway from this whole analysis is this. The problem isn't Agile bullshit. The real problem, the thing holding us all back, is the organizational bullshit. All those outdated structures that just create friction and sabotage the very idea of being agile.
And I bet this all looks painfully familiar, right? We see these symptoms everywhere. Departments get a new name like trains. Teams that don't need Scrum are forced to use it anyway. Managers get fancy new Agile titles, but keep doing the exact same job. And our Agile teams get buried under mountains of hierarchical reporting. This isn't Agile. It's just hierarchy wearing an Agile costume.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? The failures, the blown budgets, the unhappy customers, it all comes from this basic conflict. You just cannot expect a self-organizing team to really work its magic when it's stuck inside a rigid top-down system.
Okay, so if that's the diagnosis, what's the cure? What's our path forward? Well, the very first step is a huge shift in focus. It is time to stop trying to fix the teams.
So what do companies usually do? You know the drill. They throw more training at the teams. They buy new tools. They roll out another, even bigger framework. Or they just get fed up and threaten to ditch Agile completely. But all of that is just putting a Band-Aid on a much, much deeper wound.
The real solution, the real path forward is so much bigger. Instead of slapping another Band-Aid on the team, what if we actually performed surgery on the organization itself? What if we stopped trying to patch the individual parts and instead modernize the entire system?
And that leaves us with the final, challenging question for all of us here tonight. For decades now, we've been trying to force Agile into our hierarchies. It's time to flip the script. We need to start asking, how can we reshape our organizations to finally become truly Agile? Now that is the conversation we need to be having.